We tested the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL live from Bruges, so of course we're going to test the regular Google Pixel 10 Pro, this time live from Blankenberge, which is on the Belgian coast. Obviously it looks very much like the larger version. There are a few small differences, so we'll focus on some additional features like slow motion and others. And of course, as always, the review will be thorough. As you may have noticed, the unboxing is identical to that of a Pixel 10 Pro XL with recycled materials, and as you may have seen, the design is the same as a Pixel 9 Pro. Yeah, the Pixel 10 Pro has exactly the same design as the 10 Pro XL, just smaller, but it's also exactly the same design as a regular Pixel 9 Pro. So then what are we going to notice? Well, that it's still an aluminum frame weighing 207 grams with glass on the front and back. This glass is protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which is quite sturdy. It has IP68 certification, just like the larger version, so it can be submerged up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes without any problem. We still have a smartphone that feels great in the hand, is well balanced, and is super pleasant to the touch. Of course, I'm going to talk to you again about Google's cases, which feel really nice to the touch and fit the shape of the smartphone perfectly. Once again, as I mentioned in the previous review, this is the Google Touch. Nothing more to add, we're dealing with a premium smartphone. Alright, let's move on to the technical specifications. As for the specs, it's exactly the same, a bit like the design, with the microphone on top, a completely clean left side, USB Type-C port on the bottom with speakers and a microphone. The SIM card tray is also on the top. There's a power button on the right, along with the volume buttons. So, for the technical specs, you'll find Wi-Fi 7, nano SIM and SIM with 5G, and the latest generation Bluetooth 6.0. As for the speakers, you'll get stereo sound. In short, 5G reception is just like on an ultra high-end smartphone, such as the iPhone, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, or the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. I didn't experience any dropouts or anything during a call. Ambient noise is very well reduced. By the way, you'll see in the photo video section that when filming yourself with the front camera, you can reduce the sound. You'll also get excellent Bluetooth connectivity. I was able to connect it to 3 European car brands without any issues. I had Android Auto working perfectly fine. As for Wi-Fi, my upload and download speeds are maxed out according to my fiber line's capacity. In short, we're clearly dealing with ultra high-end quality when it comes to this Google Pixel 10 Pro. But regarding the speakers, does it measure up to its big brother, the XL? Well, absolutely. The sound is very well balanced. You'll get mids, highs, but also bass. You'll be completely immersed in your movies, series, and video games without any issues, thanks to a screen that's honestly excellent. As for the screen, it's a 6.3-inch OLED with a refresh rate that goes up to 120 Hz. It's LTPO, so it can go down to as low as 1 Hz. You'll also get 300 nits of peak brightness and HDR10+. In terms of resolution, it's 1280 by 2856. In short, you get the idea. It's exactly the same screen with a lower resolution simply because the screen is smaller. The color accuracy is excellent. It's true to what you're watching, whether it's movies, series, or video games. You'll have a screen that's smooth with no issues, no stuttering, and no lag whatsoever. In short, you'll have a smartphone that will completely satisfy you, as they say, both to the touch and to the eye. You'll be able to switch from one app to another without any problem. It remains very smooth whether you're on social media, browsing the internet, and watching movies and series is an absolute delight because you get deep blacks, excellent contrast and sound that really immerses you. In short, this screen, personally, it was already approved on the 10 Pro XL version and it's just as good on the 10 Pro version. As for the OS, we're still on stock Android 16 with 7 years of updates. What more could you ask for? Well, it's packed with artificial intelligence at every level. There's nothing more to say. You'll have artificial intelligence for your texts, to correct them, format them, your emails or whatever else, but especially to edit your photos and modify them the way you want. You'll get the famous Add Me photo feature, where you can take a family photo and then someone can switch places with you to appear in that same photo. Well, I've already shown you a demonstration, but you'll also have slow motion features and you'll be able to edit your videos. In short, the OS is perfect. We're honestly dealing with something very smooth. I haven't experienced any bugs at all, and that's great. In terms of performance, you'll find exactly the same as on the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, meaning a Tensor G5 developed in partnership with DeepMind and built by TSMC using a 3nm process. It's paired with 16 GB of RAM. As for storage, it starts at 128 and goes up to 512 with a 256 option in between. Of course, there's a Titan M2 coprocessor that handles security. As I mentioned, it's exactly the same as the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL and it gives us benchmark scores that are more or less identical. In my opinion, since the processor has less space, it tends to heat up a little more. So on Antutu Bench, it scores 1,231,801 points, which is still very respectable. And as we know, and I've already said this and I'll say it again, Google uses artificial intelligence to adapt the smartphone's performance to your usage. Now, if we look at Geekbench, we get a score of 2,224 for single core and a score of 6,050 for multi-core. That just reinforces what I was saying. Here, this is a benchmark score taken after several days of use so that the artificial intelligence could adapt. I gained more than 2,000 points on the multi-core score. This means we have a smartphone that won't let us down during the 7 years of updates and that will simply be able to run all our apps. I encoded 4K videos on CapCut, on PowerDirector, and there were absolutely no issues. And this 4K video was running at 30 FPS. I had just added a 4K 60 FPS clip right before, so honestly we're getting really good performance. Now if we look at the GPU side, we have a score of 2,973. And just like its big brother, the Pixel 10 Pro XL, well, you might think, yeah, it's not going to run much when it comes to video games. And yet, as I said, all your social networks will run without any problem. This will suit 95% of people right now. Social networks, email, phone calls, messaging, etc., there won't be any problem. And for video games, well, actually you'll be in for some very, very pleasant surprises there too. As for Asphalt 9, loading times are almost non-existent. The game looks great, it's smooth, and it's very fast. As for Genshin Impact, I went as far as setting the graphics to maximum at 60 FPS. I was able to play, and honestly the temperature was very well controlled, staying at 39 degrees. Which means that for Genshin Impact, well, we have just what we need, nothing more is necessary. And yet the GPU score isn't particularly high, and that's where artificial intelligence comes into play. Now if we move on to Fortnite, we had graphic settings that were optimized for 60 FPS with no FPS drops, no lag, but even so, with high graphic settings, of course, the temperature reached 53 degrees. Once again, we're dealing with a smartphone that doesn't overheat because 53 degrees isn't much. As you may have seen in different tests, sometimes I've reached 60, 65 or even higher. On Call of Duty, I had ultra graphics just like its big brother, ultra FPS just like its big brother, and the game was smooth with no lag. Honestly, you can have some really great online matches and the temperature was 52 degrees. You have a smartphone for everyday use, for work, for your social networks, to relax, but also to play games. Alright, let's take a look at the camera side of things. As for the camera part, it's identical to a Pixel 10 Pro XL, nothing has changed. You get the same sensors with the same options and it's still excellent. I'm going to try to fine-tune things a bit more compared to the 10 Pro XL to give you more information. We have a first sensor with 50 megapixels f1.7 dual pixel for the wide angle, a second sensor with 48 megapixels f2.8 periscope, telephoto with 5 times optical zoom, and you'll get a third sensor with an f1.7 aperture, ultra wide angle, and finally a 42 megapixel sensor with an f2.2 aperture. All these nice little components, just like its big brother, are capable of filming up to 8K at 30 FPS, even if we probably won't use it. But in any case, you're going to get excellent photos with a photo coach that teaches you how to take pictures with the Add Me feature that honestly I absolutely love. You'll also get the best photo feature, which means it will take several shots and give you the best one. You'll have all these kinds of options assisted by artificial intelligence. If we look at selfies, we get excellent selfies with natural tones. There's no smoothing, and honestly, that's great. If we check out the bokeh effect in portrait mode, it's not blurry at all. We get a really beautiful portrait mode. If we look at night photos, there's nothing to complain about. It's just as good as on the 10 Pro XL with the scene brightened up to give us more detail. As for the macro, it activates automatically and delivers a very good macro shot. It's a pleasure to take pictures of flowers or insects with this smartphone. If you now look at the zoom capabilities, you'll be able to zoom all the way up to 100x. And in comparison, for example, with an S25 Ultra at 100x or a Xiaomi 15 Ultra at 120x, well, the 10 Pro XL and the 10 Pro are clearly ahead. Because artificial intelligence will reanalyze the scene and enhance it to give you as much detail as possible. Of course, some will say it's not natural, but in any case, we get a beautiful photo. You're going to get an excellent ultra-wide angle, a wide angle at 2x, 5x, and 10x. There's no noise in the image. Noise only appears much further in, and when it does show up in the image, it's corrected by artificial intelligence. You'll have a very well stabilized 1080p and a 4K 60 that honestly is excellent. You'll get 8K at 30 FPS in log format, the cinema format as I mentioned in the section about the 10 Pro XL. And this log format, you'll be able to rework it yourself in a program, or you can have a second file with the color grading already applied. It's up to you to decide which you prefer. Anyway, what I suggest is a little tour of Blankenberg in photo and video. First, let me know in the comments what you like. If you think the photos are good, we'll come back here to discuss them. So this is a quick test of the front camera with the microphone just to give you an idea of the mic quite simply and the front camera. However, there's an option I didn't mention in the 10 Pro XL. Why? Well, because I had to save some content for the 10 Pro, is that you have the voice enhancement feature. Be aware, it's only available in full HD at 30 FPS. I'll show you that right now. This time it's a test of the front camera with voice enhancement. As I was saying, it's only available in full HD at 30 FPS, but at least this way you can really notice a big difference simply in the sound. I hope you enjoyed this little tour. As you could see, we have an excellent video section. The front camera with the voice enhancement feature is just pure joy. It's just a shame that it only works at 30 FPS. At 60 FPS it would have been perfect. But in any case, we have an excellent microphone on the front camera, even without the enhancement, without the assistant. Once the assistant is activated, we really get a very good front camera experience, just like with 4K 60 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS. Honestly, these pixels keep surprising me more and more. The battery life of this Pixel 10 Pro, a 4870 mAh battery, faster charging, which means we have a better battery compared to last year, and faster charging. Faster, but not by much, only 30 watts. Yeah, it's just a little bit more than last year. In any case, it charges to 55% in 30 minutes, and that's been verified. Expected to take an hour to charge to 100%. Now, if we talk about wireless charging, we're looking at the famous Pixel Snap, which is basically Google's version of MagSafe. And it's MagSafe compatible, so there's no problem. In any case, as for battery life, it gave me 15 hours and 12 minutes, which is finally good and finally average. We now have real battery life compared to before, when it struggled to last a whole day. Now it charges faster and lasts longer throughout the day. It's a half flaw. It's true that we could have had even better battery life, but in any case, it's been greatly improved. This time we can't complain, and the artificial intelligence studies all this over time. It keeps getting better, which is pretty good. So what are the flaws of this Pixel 10 Pro? Well, unfortunately, there's a price increase. We start at 128 GB for 1,099 euros, 1,099 euros, then the 256 GB version at 1,199 euros, 1,199 euros, and the 512 GB version at 1,329 euros. It's clear that this time we're dealing with ultra high-end pricing. We're gonna have to put this, well, yes, quite simply in the cons, because such a price increase without a charger, etc. But does that make it a bad smartphone? Well, as for other flaws, it's hard to find any. Why? The charging has been improved, but honestly, it's a bit of a half flaw. It could still be better. In any case, the battery life has been improved, and this time it's average, so we can't hold that against it anymore. Those are commendable efforts. There's also been further progress made in everything related to photography and artificial intelligence. This Google Tensor G5 will deliver 65% more power for AI and 35% more overall power compared to last year. In short, real effort has been made, and we have a smartphone that's becoming more and more ultra high-end. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Also, just let me know if you feel like buying one. Give me a thumbs up, that's important, and subscribe. In any case, we're going to test the latest Pixel 10. And yes, it's the last in the line. The fall will come later when it's released. See you.